Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. In the video for today, we are going to be talking about the Memecoin market, and specifically we're going to be talking about navigating SolScan and also Streamflow. Before we talk about navigating SolScan and Streamflow and a few of the other things I wanted to mention in this video, I want to talk about the Memecoin market briefly because I'm seeing a lot of good signs that makes me personally want to jump back into the trenches. And first and foremost, one of the biggest signs is what has been going on with this useless token over the past basically 2-3 weeks. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you probably know that I've always preached higher market cap tokens are probably a better buying opportunity for beginners than new pairs. And I simply think that because A, you can play with a lot more size and go for smaller wins, which, can ultimately lead to more consistent results long term. And B, you have a lot lower chance of getting rugged on these higher market cap tokens with teams who have, demonstrated that they can commit to a token for more than a few weeks, right? Those two things are really important here, and I'm going to explain why. I think Useless is doing a great job of proving to everyone in the space right now that patience still is a key to the meme coin space, whether you want to have it or not. And I also think this is a big signal of strength in the space that basically says slow cooks are still a thing. And if you're going to be one of these people who only trades new pairs, you're probably going to get fucking decimated long term. And this is really big for the entire ecosystem of bonk launchpad tokens because 250 million market cap is no joke. This, in my opinion, can be considered a meta leader, and it's now opening the doors for a lot of these other bonk launchpad tokens to run a little bit. Like Hasiko had a pretty big pump yesterday trying to catch up to it. And Gib also is kind of coming out of the woodworks here. So in my opinion, the thing to look out for right now is the bonk ecosystem of tokens. They are already showing a ton of strength, but they will probably continue ripping up if I were to guess. And if you don't know what tokens to look out for, consider joining my WAP community. I put my token watch list up there, and this is a screenshot of one of the first watch lists I put up about a month ago. As you can see, I called Useless at 8.7 million, Hasiko at 13 million, and this is from June 3rd, just so that you guys are aware. You can find all of these links in my channel bio. Here's the WAP, and I have a free Discord community if you want to hop in there as well. But the main thing I want you guys to take away from this section of the video is that higher market cap tokens are still going to be your best friend if you're a beginner or an expert or wherever you are at in your meme coin journey, because you aren't going to get rugged as frequently. And that in the long term is going to help you more than you think. The method is really to stack up 25 to 50% gains for a week or 2 weeks until you've built up enough capital to where if you get rugged on a new pair, you're not going to give a fuck. That is what you guys should really be targeting if you are new to the space. And it's a lot easier to find those 25 to 50% gains on higher market cap tokens or tokens that are a little bit older. And before we jump into the rest of the video, I just want to highlight one more token really quickly, and that is this bad boy right here. I am a big fan of this one, Gorbagana. All right, now we're going to jump into the bulk of today's video, which is going to be about navigating SolScan, checking out contracts on Streamflow, and just being a better on-chain detective, trying to understand what is really going on behind the scenes in these tokens. So if you've watched some of my older videos, you know that I'm always talking about how you should utilize the holders tab, the transactions tab, and the top traders tab to really get a better picture of what's going on behind the scenes on some of these tokens. But today we're going to actually break down how you can do that and do it accurately. Whether you're on Axiom or Dex Screener, you can do the same things basically in either platform, right? If you click this button, you're going to be routed to, their account info on SolScan. And here you can understand a lot of information about the owner of these tokens. So once you're in SolScan and you're looking at someone's wallet, you obviously can see their wallet address here on the top of the screen. You can see the exact tokens they're holding on to, and you can click onto this button to actually view their portfolio. You also can even see the transactions that they've made. Now you're able to see their actual SOL balance up here, and you also are able to see the cumulative amount of meme coin holdings that they have in US dollars. And this person has a pretty big portfolio. For the record, I found this person as the number 2 holder in this invest token that I just randomly clicked on in Axiom. And as you can see here, they are, a pretty big holder in other tokens as well. So I pulled up BlueChip, which is the other token that this person is heavily invested in, and they are the number 2 holder over here as well. Again, if you just click, this is the exact same account that I was just viewing. And now let's do some digging and try and figure out who exactly this might be, or if this could be potentially something like a liquidity pool or maybe a locked percentage of tokens, etc. Okay, first and foremost, let's actually check out their transactions to get a better understanding of what they did originally. And as you can see here, this person was extremely early onto this token, which probably to me signifies that they are an insider. But regardless, look at the market cap in which they bought these tokens and look at the amount that they used. So right off the bat, at a 16K market cap, This person bought 12.8 million tokens for $210 and continued to dollar cost average in, totaling about 1,100 for the entire purchase of this token. All right, now let's check out their transactions at BlueChip here. And as we can see here, the first transaction was at an 140K market cap right there, and they bought in with a lot more size, around $2,000 originally, and they continued blasting in all the way up to the 400K range. Then this token clearly took a really big dip because they capitulated 32 million tokens at, a 24K market cap, but then they continued to buy back in when it showed a little more strength. So honestly, the fact that this person capitulated at 24K and then 5 days later at 10x the valuation that they sold 32 million tokens at, started buying again with such size, makes me just think that this is a really good trader and probably a really good wallet that you can start tracking. So this is why it's really valuable to actually understand how you can dig through these different tokens, and especially the top traders on these tokens, because it gives you a lot more insight into the type of people who are holding the tokens that you are looking to buy. Like, there's a lot of different inferences that we can make based on the information we just discovered here. One of the things that sticks out to me is that he was selling some tokens below the 1 million range, but since it's gone parabolic, he hasn't really sold that much of his supply. Like, this guy has over 180K worth of these tokens right now, and he really hasn't been selling much at this 4 mil, 5 mil, 6 mil range. And that could either be a good thing for this token or a really bad thing for this token, because once this wallet decides to unload his supply, it can make a very significant impact on price, which, obviously might not be good for the rest of the blue chip holders. And so that's just a brief example of the types of things that I like to think through whenever I'm vetting a token, because now that I'm looking at the top holders of blue chip again, I'm seeing a lot more interesting things. Like the very top holder here, for example, they bought in at a 14K market cap with $746, and they haven't sold a dollar yet. Again, once this wallet starts to unload their supply, it could really negatively impact this token. Also, another interesting thing to note is that there are 3 wallets above the actual liquidity pool. So again, all of these things are important when you're vetting meme coins, and all of these things can really help you out to make your decisions. It honestly can be really fun to go through some of these rabbit holes, because this guy didn't even buy on the first day of the token launch. He bought on that dip when that other wallet I was just scoping out capitulated. He bought at a 14K market cap 2 days ago. The token is 7 days old. So, it's really interesting to just get a sense of who the top holders are and what their stories are, because it can really help you out when you're making decisions on whether to buy or sell a token. Because as you guys can see here, this is his first and only transaction. So it doesn't seem like he's an insider, or else he probably would have been buying back here as well. I just think this guy probably bought at the exact right time. He had a really good sizing, and he had the conviction just hold it, because now he's up 340K. And now the real question you would need to ask yourself if you're a holder of blue chip is if you think this guy is going to unload his supply in a healthy way or in a malicious way. Because if he dumps a large amount of these tokens here, this token is probably not going to fare pretty well. But if he sells $100 or $200 worth of this token at a time, this thing will hold up just fine. But knowing these things is lucrative, because if you're tracking this guy's wallet and you see him start to sell maliciously, you can get out of the token before a lot of other people realize it, and you might save yourself a ton of money. Okay, so now we're gonna go through an example with a different type of token, right? So the last 2 were meme coins, okay? This one now is a more utility focused project, and we're gonna do some deep dives into this to understand what's going on with the holders. Okay, so one of the first things I like to do with any AI or utility play that I'm trying to figure out more information about is just copy and paste the contract address into the search bar into Streamflow, just so I can get a better understanding of what's going on with the token supply. And for those of you who are not familiar with Streamflow yet, it is basically just a platform where teams can go to lock a certain percentage of their token supplies, basically as a way to give the community some peace of mind in knowing that they aren't going to sell whatever their percentage of token is that they are holding, okay? And it's up to the team to basically lock these tokens for however long or however short they want to. And the reason why I'm always checking these Streamflow contracts for these utility type tokens is because a lot of teams will use something like Streamflow to build up a treasury where there's a certain amount of their token supply that unlocks over a certain period of time, and they use those funds to further the development of their projects. So that is really why this platform is valuable for teams and also for, meme coin traders to actually understand what those teams are doing with their tokens. So essentially what happened here is this team locked 200 million or 20% of their token supply for about 7 days. And just so you know where I'm getting these numbers from, I know that this is a pump fund token, so I know that it started within a billion token supply. 200 million is 20% of 1 billion, so 20% of the tokens were locked. And when it comes to the actual dates, right, the unlock time, this is when the team actually got access to this 20% of the token supply, happened just 2 days ago. And the token is 9 days old. So that's how I did all the math for all of that. So basically what happened here is there was no vesting period. The team literally locked 20% of the supply for exactly 1 week. They already have access to those tokens again, and now they are located in this wallet address, which, if we go back to the token here, is this wallet address. So that is how we know that this team hasn't sold any of their supply yet. In fact, they have a little bit more now. It's 22.45%. Now, if you're a savvy meme coin trader, you probably should have a few red flags going off based on that information, okay? Especially after looking at these other wallet addresses here, which we're going to talk about in a second. But the thing I want you guys to understand here is that if this 20% was still locked, in my opinion, that's actually a really bullish thing for the token supply because the market cap is 20% less than what it actually is. And the reason why it's really important and very lucrative to have a deep understanding of what's going on with the team's allocation of the token supply is because if you knew that 20% of the token supply was locked for 1 year and nobody else did, you would have a serious edge in understanding what the true valuation of the token is. And you would have peace of mind knowing that you won't have to worry about 20% of the token supply being dumped for an entire year. And we can jump into another Streamflow example here in a second, but I just wanted to point out one more thing here with this wallet, right? So as you can see here, when we go into their SolScan, it just shows create account and a transfer, but they somehow have 100 million tokens of ACID worth $283,000, but they never bought any. So what the hell is happening here? That wallet that we were just talking about that just received the 20% of the token supply on Streamflow actually sent this wallet the funds, which means that this wallet originally, if we go back and do some digging here, probably made a very large purchase of ACID tokens at one point or another. And after doing a bit more digging, as we can see here, if we click into this transaction, you can see that this is exactly what happened. So the TLDR here is that this 33V wallet, which is the same wallet that locked 20% of the token supply originally, also had a large percentage of tokens elsewhere that they had sent to other wallets, and they are the deployer of this token. So, once you're starting to understand what's really going on behind the scenes with these tokens, it can make your buying decisions a lot easier. And by the way, we don't have to go through another rabbit hole, but these two wallets are also affiliated with this team wallet. I did a little bit of digging here. So the top 3 wallets on this ACID token are all team wallets, and they hold a total of 42.45% of the token supply. So the real market cap of this token right now is about 1.35, 1.4 mil. And again, I got that number because the team is holding 42% of the token supply. But the key here is that it is not locked on Streamflow. So this team could tomorrow, if they wanted to, dump all of that 40% and send this thing to zero. So the big question here, if you're a holder, is the team going to sell or not? And for the record, it doesn't have to be the team that locks up the token, right? Anybody can make one of these contracts and just lock a certain amount of tokens. So if you have a really big problem with selling too early, maybe use Streamflow to lock yourself away from selling. Because, this is what some people are doing with Fartcoin, and it's working out pretty well for them. But all right, guys, that is going to do it for the video today. I hope you guys learned a lot about navigating SolScan and also navigating Streamflow, because they are both really helpful tools if you know how to use them. If you guys want to join a Discord community full of people who do this on a daily basis, hop into my Discord. It's 100% free, and it always will be. And if you want to see what tokens I'm buying, check out my WAP community. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.